Mark Williams with PreSonus Audio Electronics, and here at the SADA show in Paris 2008 with Arbiter, and we want to show you the new PreSonus StudioLive. This is actually the first one. It's called the StudioLive because it's a cross between using a studio and a live environment. So it's a mixer as well as a recording interface as well as kind of a production environment all wrapped into one. So our goal with designing this piece of equipment was to have something that had all the power of a digital work environment or a digital mixer, but at the same time had the flexibility and ease of use of an analog mixer. So what you've got with the StudioLive is exactly what you see on the layout of it. It's very simple, very easy to navigate. Once you get used to it, you'll really be able to move around it quickly. It's designed to bridge the gap essentially between an analog mixer and a digital mixer. So first off, you notice that you've got 16 inputs. You can select on these inputs between the FireWire input or the analog input simply by just pressing the button up there. You've got your 16 X Max preamplifiers. You also have your Jet PLL, jitter elimination technology. So you've got our very best preamps that's available for an interface, as well as very stable clocking and also very nice resolution. So the layout of the mixer is just like an analog mixer in that you grab any specific channel, then you have access from that channel when you select it to the fat channel section of the mixer. Now with the fat channel, you've got a high pass filter, you've got a gate, a full feature compressor, limiter, and then a 4-band parametric equalizer. So any section that you want to work with, you would just grab that section. So if I wanted to adjust the high middle frequencies, I would just turn that on, set the frequency that I want to work with, and then grab the gain and adjust it from there. And then if I want to go to high Q, I select the high Q on it. Now you've also got for each channel, you can assign to which outputs you want to go to or which section of the mixer. So if you wanted to go to one of the 4 subgroups here, you can do that, or if you want to go to the main, you can do that as well. You also see that you've got panning here. If you want to link 2 channels, you can. Or if you have settings that you like that you want to copy to another channel, you would just hit the copy button, pick the channel that you wanted to paste it to, and then hit load, and it's going to copy your presets exactly to that channel as it is. Now also with each channel, you've got 6 different aux buses and 2 different internal effects processors. So if you wanted to go to a specific aux, you would select that aux. Then if you hit the mix button, it shows you which channels are set to those auxes. So all of those channels right now, if I wanted to take channel 1 off of the aux, I would just turn it down right there. You can also select if you want to route the auxes in any sort of way, or say with the effects processor, if you want to route it to a specific output, you can. So that way, let's say you've got a reverb on your effects 1, then you can route that to the sub 1, and now essentially that becomes the control or the return for that specific sub. You can also route the sub to the main if you wanted to as well. Now, another easy thing about this is that any channel that you're working on is going to show you the selected channel up here as well. You've also, it's always going to show whichever selected channel you're on, it shows you your level and your gain reduction. So if we go to one that's got a compressor on it, like this one does, you can see that the amount of gain reduction that's happening on that specific channel when in fact it does occur. You've also got different meter modes as well. So if you wanted to see all of your inputs, you go to the meter section and just hit input. Now it shows all of your inputs, exactly what levels are happening there. You can go to the output if you have compression applied or gating applied to see what's happening as far as the levels there. Or you can just show gain reduction. So now we're showing what's happening in the dynamic section of it. So you've got your gain reduction, whether it's being compressed or whether it's being gated. You also have a fader locate mode, which shows you when you recall the scene where your faders would be. In order to get them back to that position, you would move the fader if I were in scene recall. And then you also have your aux levels as well. Now, another thing that's nice about StudioLive is that you have talkback that's built into it. So in a live environment, if you want to talk to somebody on the stage to help adjust levels, to work out any sort of communication that needs to happen, you can adjust your talkback. You can either use it momentary or you can use it quickly. You can route it to any of the auxes or to the main output as well. You've also got your monitoring section, which for your monitors, you can either monitor the main outputs, the firewire, return, tape, or what's happening with the solo. You have 2 different solo modes so that you can solo differently. So let's say we want to do solo in place. You grab the specific channel you want to solo, and it mutes the rest of the channels. Now let's say you want to do PFL, you grab the specific channel, and the solo mode goes into PFL. For every channel, you've got your microphone inputs, your line level input and insert. Then you also have your individual aux outputs, so you can use those for routing, say for effects or for monitors or something. You've got aux inputs as well, so that way you can set effect returns. You've got your individual subgroup outputs, your tape in and out, main outs as a balanced 1/4 inch. You've got your main outputs as balanced XLR. You've got an adjustable level on there as well. You have a mono output also, your talkback input. There's a spit-if input if you need it. And then also there's balanced outputs for every channel as well. So that way if you need to run a separate feed, say to an auxiliary recorder or something like that, you could. And then you've also got your firewire ports, so that way you can connect directly to the computer, and ultimately you'll be able to link a couple of these, so that way you could get 32 inputs and outputs. Now you can also store your scenes on here, so that way if, say you play a gig one night, you record the setup, you store your settings, and then you're playing in a different environment the next night, you can actually recall the scene that you had from that previous evening, bring that back up again, play back the recording from that night, and check your levels without having to do as rigid of a sound test. So on here you've got your scene recall that's really easy to do. You just hit the recall button, it's going to recall your scenes. And I was mentioning before, you can bring up your fader locators, so that way it's going to tell you which way to go to get back to that exact position that the fader was previously. The rest of the fat channel is all recalled, so you've got your gating, your compressing, and your equalization is all recalled as well. System preferences, which is just kind of adjusting the contrasts and stuff like that. 2 internal effects processors, and then for the effects processors there's actually a tap feature, so that way if you want to set the tempo of the music or of the effects to the music, then you could just tap it in place, which is a really fast way to get set up quickly. Now another great feature to the StudioLive is Capture, and Capture is a software that we developed to make it as easy as possible to record a live shows. You'll notice there's 16 inputs, and then you have your stereo mix down as well. It'll actually record all of your inputs, your subgroups, your auxes, and your main. The great thing about Capture is it automatically identifies with StudioLive, and it automatically routes all of your inputs and outputs. So there's no guesswork, there's no routing, there's no setup, there's no fuss. You install the driver, you load Capture. When you're ready to record, you hit that button to arm all of them, and then you hit the record button, and that's it. You set your levels up here. Another great feature that even makes it more convenient to use Capture with the StudioLive is the fact that you can adjust your digital trim without touching the computer and without affecting your live level. So let's say you're recording something and you've got a little bit too much gain. Hit your digital output button there, and then you can adjust your gain accordingly without affecting the recording level. It's actually the pan there, but and so then you can adjust your gain, and it's not going to affect your front of house sound. But once you're done with the recording, you can just go and export everything that you've recorded, and it'll give you 16 or 18, or depending on how many outputs you've set, and it'll export all of those audio files. So then you can take it into another digital workstation and edit or record, or if you want to, you can play back the files and mix it on the mixer, and then record the mix sound from the mixer. So you get the best of both worlds there. So the StudioLive is exactly that. It's studio tools in a live environment that's extremely easy to use. It'll be shipping very soon. and you'll be able to get it here in France through Arbiter.